APC's illegalities and Oshiomohle's snide remark. Only the chairman of the All Progressive Congress APC Caretaker and Extraordinary Convention Planning Committee, Mala Birnie, who is also Yobe State Governor, can say why he was not struck by the irony of describing his party as full of infighting. In less than 6 months, no thanks to schemers running riot in the party, it has turned into a party full of intrigues, embroiled in intrigues and plots designed to secure advantages for 2023. The party marches with indecent haste from one illegality to another. The dissolution of the party's National Working Committee in June, followed by the meeting of the National Executive Committee, controversially called by Victor Giadom, the Rotimi Amechi protege, who declared himself sitting court orders as acting chairman of the party in place of the late Abiola Ajimobi, a former Oyo State governor. A little over a week later, President Muhammadu Buhari, bowing to the wishes of a fraction of the party and conniving at their plots, assented to the dissolution of the National Working Committee on the grounds that the party was imploding over court cases and internal wrangling. There was no constitutional bias in the party for the presidential assent, but everyone in the party lined up behind him, regardless of the confidence about 18 NWC members out of the 21 still had in the leadership of Adams Oshiomohle, the then national chairman. Though NWC members were reluctant to challenge the dissolution of the National Working Committee in court until a former national vice chairman, Hilad Ita, summoned the courage. The move by the president and other plotters in June was suspect and controversial. The dissolution produced the Birnie-led Caretaker Committee, which was given 6 months to plan a national convention. Governor Birnie had not only expanded the brief of the Caretaker Committee, for which 6 months became inadequate, he has also supervised and inspired intense intrigues to redefine and realign the whole party structure in the country in order to regiment it along certain predetermined lines and in favor of certain interests, some of them arch-enemies of the former chairman. The plot and regimentation led to the NEC decision last week to extend the Birnie-led Caretaker Committee's tenure by another 6 months and the sack and reconstitution of the entire elected party executive at the state, local government and ward levels. Cautioned by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo on the illegality of the wholesale dissolution of the executive committees, the party ingeniously converted the sack into a rechristening, immediately reabsorbing and turning the sack party executives into caretaker executives. In their view, the elected executives have, after all, lost nothing. This is an ingenious lie. There is no way to compare an elected tenure and substantive executive with a caretaker committee whose tenure would end in 6 months. The uncertainty into which the caretaker executives have been placed can certainly not be mitigated by the Birnie Caretaker Committee assertion that they would be allowed to contest for party offices after their caretaker period lapses. Surely there is a limit to plots and intrigues. Expect fireworks in the coming weeks. The plots to cause massive personnel change at the state, local government and ward levels, despite the feeble and unconvincing explanations by the Caretaker Committee Secretary, James Akpanu-Dehehe, is probably contrived to strengthen the hands of a few and probably vengeful party leaders while correspondingly weakening others. Unfortunately, it has been impossible to avoid collateral damage to the party and has rendered internal cohesion more difficult, alienated many party leaders and members, and prepared the ground for fractions and deliberating Congress and conventions in the near future. These are first errors that have lifted the party from the more manageable infighting alluded to by the Mr. Birnie to deep-seated intrigues, which are more difficult to manage and placate because of the attendant bitterness and acrimony. Mr. Etta, a former national vice chairman, has headed to court to seek redress for the original dissolution of the party's National Working Committee in June. For his trouble, he was last week expelled by the party for indiscipline. If the judiciary is as independent as it claims and continue to posture, it is hard seeing Mr. Etta come to grief. More crucially, and even far less dispassionately, should any of the state, local government, and ward executive unlawfully transmuted into an ad hoc caretaker take the party's next decision to court, and should they receive fair hearing by an independent judiciary, it is hard to see them lose. Once the aggrieved go to court, the party should prepare for the worst case scenario. The dominoes may fall. In any case, whether the recent decision of the party are challenged or not, the party may, in frenzies search for absolutism, have entangled itself in sinking of intrigues and webs of lies from which it is hard to see them recover. One illegality to another since June, and for which the party faced no serious challenge, has led to the overconfidence and mistakes. No party conducts itself with such reckless abandon and hope to flourish and at last competition. Considering the hopeless knot in which the party is now entangled, Oshiomohle gleefully remarked last week that it was beneath him to plot a return to the party as chairman, even if Mr. Itta's lawsuit were to succeed. In a statement last Monday, Mr. Oshiomohle quashed his argument about a so-called return to the party's leadership with unrestrained sidedness. He said, in reporting the legal action taken by a member of the dissolved National Working Committee of the All Progressive Congress, some attributions have been made to the effect that the plaintiff is an ally of Oshiomohle or an associate of Oshiomohle. This is despite the fact that the court's documents are clear on who the plaintiff really is. But by far more intriguing is the president's role in the entire brouhaha, including questions about just how far his decision can be detached from the brazen legal subterfuges orchestrated by his political meddlesome and controversial Justice Minister, Abubakar Malami. The role played by the beguiled president in the dissolution of the Oshiomohle-led National Working Committee last June was indefensible but explicable on the grounds of the simplistic scenario presented before him by his trusted aides. If the president is struggling with navigating the maze of intractable party affairs, how many other national issues can he be trusted to decipher, at least enough to come to some sound decisions and judgment? It is already known that he is not an inspirational leader, but to compound his weakness and failings by an abject unawareness of complex national issues and conflicts exposes the country to divisive, self-centered and antagonistic forces. His party was enabled to constitute its boards of trustees, and for 5 years or more he himself has been incapable of managing the factional interests that under-rig the party and give it life and energy. Indeed, many analysts see a general abdication on his part. In that case, can these problems be remedied in the next few years, at least sufficiently enough to harness the APC's potential for its own growth and stability and to provide national leadership? Few still think the party or even the president possesses the vision to do great things, assume the level of statesman, or lead the country to greatness. Now Nigerians are deeply worried that sustaining even the national status quo, as measured and mediocre as the status quo is, may prove befuddling to the president. The APC was right from the beginning, never able to master the engineering sense to run a modern and cohesive party. Having achieved spectacular victory months after its founding it soon began to reel from crisis to crisis under John Odige Oyegu, its second chairman, became castrated by the governors as they arrogantly threw the party into concubinage, while its essence and goals were demeaned by fractional and impeccable conflicts. When it looked like the impetuous Mr. Oshiomohle would snatch the party back from the jaws of arbitrariness, powerful forces within the party, many of them governors, resisted the change, took forceful control of the party, and turned it into a morally hollow and boiling cauldron of intrigues. The future is bleak for the party. Having nailed their colors to the mast, they scornfully refuse to see what others are alarmed about. The party has little respect for its guiding and founding principles and has abandoned its ideology for a potpourri of practical but elementary system of governance and leadership. There's very little holding it together. It is an orphan. If lawsuit do not put its nose out of joint, In the months ahead, it will stay orphan until the convention exposes its festering wounds, probably now gone past healing. Banditry, insurgency, population explosion, economic crisis, and poor leadership have put a question mark on election 2023. But if against all odds 2023 comes, it will require yet greater odds, so arithmetically inaccessible as to be difficult to compute, to help the party cross the finishing line. APC crisis, where is it going? Personal interest here and there. Guys, let's hear your take down below in the comment section. Thank you once again for staying tuned. Please don't forget to like, share, and to subscribe. Till I come your way again with more updates. Bye for now, and God bless.